Well, welcome back and happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. I hope for your sake that a root beer float is somewhere in your near future. And it's also a big week for tribes. We just had our most recent launch team training last week with our team. We tackled what it looks like to discover your purpose uniquely. That all of us have God-given gifts that we're supposed to cultivate and use to make a God-given difference in the world around us. And it's good timing because we have our next interest party coming up on Sunday. Come on, somebody. And I ask again every time, will you pray every single day this week for the people who are planning to show up to a room full of strangers, people they don't know. They don't know what to expect. They're nervous. For a lot of them, church isn't a safe place. They feel far from God. They don't feel like they measure up. They don't want to be judged, and they need your help. I know you don't know their names. I know you don't know their stories, but will you ask God to give you eyes to see them this week and a heart to pray for them? To push back the darkness that their enemy has placed all around them to keep them stuck right where they are. That if they could just find the courage to take one step towards being known by a life-giving community, God could transform their world, but they need your help to gain some spiritual momentum, to get up the hill. There's this humbling verse in Matthew 15 that I want to take you to this week, and in fact, almost every time I read it, I'm a little offended by Jesus. This Canaanite woman comes up to Jesus and begs him to have mercy on her daughter, who's being tormented by a demon. And Jesus doesn't answer her at all. Think about that. You get all the way to Jesus, and he ignores you. She keeps at him. So finally in verse 26, he says this, "It's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." But she said to him, "Yes, Lord, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. Initially, Jesus rejects her. I thought that was impossible the first time I read that passage. She's honestly seeking his help, and he passes her by. Yet what does she do? She doesn't blow up at him. She doesn't leave him a bad review. She doesn't storm off and sell her story to the local news. She refuses to walk away. Despite her present experience, she knows that he's the only way. And so she'll endure anything, even judgment, even discrimination, even ridicule. Anything if it helps her little girl. And I'll just say she's an anomaly, because that's not how most of us respond. When most of us feel even a fraction of what Jesus did to her, most of us cave. We turn back. We lose heart. One of my favorite neighbors that I've ever had was while we were living in Grand Haven. There was this gentleman right across the street, and he was always waving at us. He was encouraging us. He was dancing on his porch to music that was in his headphones that no one else could hear. And I invited him to come to church with us one week, and he said this, I'll never forget it. "If I were to pass through the doors of a church, I'd immediately be hit by lightning." And I said, "Why do you think that?" And he said, "Well, that's what the pastor of the last church that I attended said would happen to me because of how I was living." Unfortunately, that one conversation with a pastor years before has kept my friend apart from a life-giving community ever since. He's convinced that he doesn't belong. He's convinced that there are good things set aside for other, better people that don't qualify for him because of the choices that he's made. And now he has to do life all on his own, doing the best that he can with what he already has. My friend isn't alone. There's so many people who feel that way, that they're on the outside looking in. Will you pray for my friend with me and all the people in the Grand Rapids area, that they would take a step towards God? If they, like the Canaanite woman in front of Jesus, could only get past the hurt, past the judgment, past the harshness, because they're not going to be deterred from accessing the full life that Jesus promised them that is available for them. Pray with me this week, my friends, and we'll see you back